Dana White was on a podcast called His and Her? Him and Her.
Him and Her.
Him and Her. You're a big fan of this one.
Oh, yeah. This is appointment viewing for me.
Yesterday, we learned that GC was a big fan of the No Corners podcast.
No Script podcast.
No Script.
Yeah. I only listen to Him and Her when I'm done with my No Scripts episode.
Okay. Well, a couple of these clips, and really, these people have only one person to thank. It's really all Jedi. I feel like Jedi, our guy Jedi, whomever he may be, is the one who finds these clips. I don't know how he finds these interviews. And then he cuts them up, and then he disseminates them, and then they explode. And then so today, I'm seeing people like Pablo Torre and Van Jones and a whole bunch of other people reacting to all kinds of Dana White Jedi Goodman clips.
If Dana White is speaking in his backyard, Jedi Goodman will have a clip of it. Yes.
There's an investor call here with Mark Shapiro. He's finding it.
Automatic.
There's a random podcast in Riyadh. He's finding it. There's an appearance over in Qatar. He's finding it. It's unbelievable. I know we have one of the clips.
Yeah.
We have one of the clips that a lot of people were, getting all excited about, where he was talking about not being political, which was obviously a very interesting comment to hear, considering, if you've been watching the UFC for some time or covering the UFC, you would probably think otherwise. Anyway, here's the clip and we can react to it.
I'm probably not as far right as everybody thinks I am. Everybody thinks I'm like far right. I literally, up until the world lost its mind, considered myself to be liberal. I leaned, a little left. But I would say that's probably the biggest misconception. Everybody thinks I'm like some far right, I'm not really even that political, to be honest with you.
Okay. Of all the comments that he made just there, it was the last one that I think you should probably take the greatest issue with. Look, far right, mid right, whatever the case is, he's clearly very right. And there's nothing wrong with that. But to say that's a misconception about me is silly when you've spoken at both of the last two, the 2016 and the 2020, actually the last three, I think it is. It was the 2016, the 2020, and the 2024 GOP conventions on behalf of one Donald Trump. In at least two of them, he was like the guy introducing him. So that's as prime time of a slot as possible. And so, okay, you can then say hey, he's helping a friend. And I do believe that when he boils it down in his brain, he's like, I'm just helping a guy who helped us out. I'm loyal to a guy. That's my most important word. That's the most important trait in my life, loyalty. I'm loyal to a guy who was loyal to us, who was loyal to me. I think that's the way he rationalizes it, for lack of a better word. But to me, what is the point that you should be like, yo, come on, let's chill. It's like when he says that, he's not a political person. There is probably no greater sporting organization, certainly not in North America, and I would argue in the world, that is as political as the UFC. The UFC is arguably the most political sporting organization in the world. And when I mean political, I don't mean like the politics in pro wrestling. I mean politics like left, right, Democrat, Republican, conservative, all that stuff. And why do I say that? Well, when Donald Trump is campaigning to be president of the United States, they don't just have him in attendance and they're like, oh, look who's there. It's the the former president of the United States, number 45, hoping to be number 47, or oh, look who's there. He's the Republican nominee. All this stuff. No, they have a whole drawn out, really long, 5-minute long entrance right before the pay-per-view. Not on pay-per-view, right before the pay-per-view usually. So on free to air or on cable television, not behind a paywall, him walking out, everyone stands, everyone, pays respect, pays homage. The broadcast does that. Subsequently, all the fighters then essentially pay homage, pay respect, kiss the hand. They'll do the thing with the celebrities, and it'll be like this person, and number 45, 47 is there. And then an hour later, it's like, this person's here, this person. And he'll be showed multiple times over and over. That's political. That's not your friend in that moment. That's political. That's you endorsing someone. That's political. And I'm not saying it's bad, it's good. Personally, I think it's a little bit much. I don't take back what I said about the. You guys know how I felt about the elections. You know that I didn't vote, but you know how I felt. I talked about this ad nauseum. I see people still calling me a snowflake and all this stuff. You could say whatever you want. I'm not offended by any of this. Let's be very, very clear. I'm not going to get on here and make a whole 25-minute rant about how this is horrible, disgusting. I personally think that we should try to keep it a little bit more down the middle, like Dana White used to say back in the day, which was, no politics here. This is a sporting event. This is an escape. We're not trying to alienate anyone. We're not trying to, endorse anyone or turn our back on anyone. This is going to be a place where you can come and watch sports and have fun and forget about all the craziness going on in the world, all the issues going on in the world. But to suggest that you're not political when you do more of this than any sporting organization on the planet, and certainly in America, is this. I mean, this is laughable. This is disingenuous. You guys, you don't even just have him there as a quick cameo hello. You actually have him while he's campaigning. While he's like, it's one thing for him to show up in the booth on Sunday, NFL on Fox. He's already the president. He's not really campaigning for anything. Of course, doing that, your influence, I get it. But now you're a part of like the actual election. You're a part of the campaign, and it's not equal time. There's no walkout for his opponent. And I know they'll say, if they wanted to come, if Barack Obama wanted to come, if Kamala Harris wanted to come, of course we would do the same. No, you wouldn't. We all know you wouldn't, because you're not friends with them. And you could do whatever you want. I was always a little bit surprised that ESPN was so okay with this, because this is way more than you would usually get for any candidate, for any sitting president. But while you are campaigning, while you are out there trying to sway people, that is all very calculated. Notice you don't really see that as often these days. Of course, he's a lot busier, but you almost saw it every single month for a year, every single pay-per-view for a year leading up to that election. That's political. So to suggest that that's a misconception, or to suggest that the UFC isn't political, is very disingenuous. They have made a conscious decision to go all the way. You don't see other heads of sport or other heads of league or teams do anything even remotely close to this. They all kind of try to stay out of it. They all try to stay as neutral as possible. The UFC has not done that, for better or worse. Some will love it, some will hate it. Some will try their best to ignore it if it bothers them. Some will use it as a reason as to why they love the UFC so much. But that even Pablo showed this really long list of all the donations that have been made, and that's stuff that's being done, in his private time. That's fine. Oh, there it is. There's a lot of R's there.
Yeah, Pablo is saying that this is according to Open Secrets DC database since July 2011.
Yeah, a lot of R's. And again, he can donate to whatever he wants, but don't insinuate that people suggest that you're too political or too right-wing or anything like that. Again, please be very clear here. I'm not trying to say that any of this is bad. It's just the comment there. I'm like, really? Come on, man.
Yeah, it's like a skirting of the responsibility, right? We've highlighted these political affiliations, and then to say like, yeah, but that's their thing. That's not necessarily my thing. Like, we're just friends and putting in that position. It is a little bit of washing your hands of something that you're involved with.
Yeah, you show up to the White House. You're a part of these committees. You're doing dinners. You're sitting with the president in the front row at events. You're together in his booth. At
presenting him at national conventions is very obviously
pretty much as political as it gets.
That's as political as it gets.
Yes.
Somebody who is not in the political world, I can't think of a more political step or measure than introducing somebody at a political rally.
The only issue I have with it is just own it. Just say this is my guy. I believe in him. I like him. I support him. I like what he believes in. That's my guy. And again, even if it was Dana White shows up and introduces him at the convention. All right, that's, you're allowed. You are a human being. You can make whatever decision you want. You can endorse anyone you want. The stuff that I always felt was a little bit too much was the walkout, the music, the sitting in the front, the multiple mentions, the multiple cameos on the broadcast. That to me felt like you were now using your platform, your sporting organization, which is supposed to be neutral, which you've told us for many years was going to be neutral and not a place where any of this stuff was going to be allowed or highlighted or tolerated. And now you are using this to endorse someone. It's very different. I know Dana White is synonymous with the UFC, but ultimately he is not the UFC. The UFC lives and breathes without him. If he If he quits tomorrow, if he gets fired, if he whatever, that thing continues. It's its own living, breathing organization. And so to use that multiple times a year, almost on a monthly basis, to endorse a candidate, to me seems a little bit much. What's going to happen the next time? I guess we'll find out when he doesn't run. If he doesn't run, who knows what's going to happen there? But like, are we then going to pick someone else? I don't feel like a sporting organization should do that, especially because it's just so divisive.
The one thing I'll say is we do have to also acknowledge, though, that sometimes these, like, I was about to state the very obvious, and then I backtrack, but sometimes it is motivated by the business side of it. Sometimes it is motivated by the money as opposed to necessarily like support for a candidate or another. As an example, right? When you want to legalize certain things in Nevada, or when you want to get a huge market like New York City opened up, if you're the UFC, you do have to do some political, ring kissing. You do have to figure out how to navigate the political space. And so certainly some of that is at play and has been at play at previous ventures. As a more current and relevant example, right? When you want to make amendments to the Muhammad Ali Act, and when you're pushing a bill, the Ali Revival Act, that is motivated and will help your business, there is politics involved in that as well. That just doesn't happen on its own, where it's like we out of good faith, we put in a bill and everybody just got behind it. It was great. You need political supporters. You need people pushing those things forward. And so there is an element of this that is beyond just like, I am right or left leaning, and in the interest of the business and the interest of your aspirations.
Yeah, I took a quick gander at the chat, and of course, everyone gets very upset. I'm not criticizing being right or left.
Which choice you made is irrelevant.
Here's the thing. I can guarantee you the people who are getting upset about us just talking about this as human beings, not being even emotional about it. We're just talking, we're reacting to something you said. If for whatever reason they would have done the exact same thing, but they would have done it with someone that they didn't like, that they didn't believe in, that it was Joe Biden or Kamala Harris getting this royal treatment, I can assure you they would have felt differently. So be level-headed here. Be level-headed. This is no endorsement of one or the other. I'm trying to say to you, the only issue that I have is him saying he is not political. Of course he is political. Of course he is political. And the dumbing down of these actions is only fooling the likes of you. Of course, you are sitting there as a UFC fan, you're like, that's fucking cool, man. The former president and the potential future president of the UFC likes my sport. That's exactly what all of this is. That's why politicians make appearances at certain things to make you feel like you are on the same level, that I like the certain thing that you like. Now we're pals. Now will I get your vote? I mean, like, come on, man. This is all very calculated. You all know it's very calculated. And the only issue that I have with it is saying that it's not calculated, that it's not political, that you don't do this on purpose, that you don't have a history of showing up at these conventions. Like, that to me is just, for lack of a better word, a lie. It's just a lie. And there is no other. If you watch the NFL, if you watch the NBA, if you watch Major League Baseball, if you watch the NHL, they try to do a very, very conscious job of not leaning one way or the other. I guess you could say like the basketball players were leaning one way in the election in 2020, and that's 100% accurate. You're 100% right. I'm talking about the organizations. I'm talking about the heads of the organizations. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've never seen like a commissioner or an owner be that, what's the word that I'm looking for? Like open with their political leanings. And I don't get uncomfortable when it comes to politics. Like I wish we could all just talk about it and be like, okay, you like this guy, you like that guy, let's shake hands and go home. I don't get upset about politics. I don't get emotional about politics. But guess what? I think a lot of people do. It's a very divisive issue. It's a very polarizing time. It's a lot of polarizing characters. They believe in things that affect our lives. I've never felt that way. I kind of, at times I just view it all as pro wrestling, to be honest. These characters who are trying to play up these personalities and gimmicks, but I feel like I'm in the minority when it comes to this one. I feel like a good person to ask about this is Frank, because Frank, and I'm not joking when I say this, Frank, like you're not a hardcore MMA fan, but I feel like you're very worldly. So do you understand what I'm trying to say here?
Absolutely. I think you're playing it right by acknowledging that there are politics in most aspects, and including this sport, and not saying that it matters one way or the other. Like, I think what you're saying is very fair, and I do also understand that people are pretty reactive to any sort of political talk where they think that you're making some sort of slant right now, but you're obviously not.
But how do you feel when you see a politician being sort of propped up like that? Like when he says, I'm not political, I would imagine your reaction is like, well, I've watched a few shows, right?
My knee-jerk immediately is like, bro, what are you saying? That's silly. And then when I think about it a little bit more to like Rick's credit, where it's like, look, there was a relationship between Trump and Dana before the presidency, right?
Yeah.
And that relationship is still there. So there is very well a possibility in Dana's mind that it's like, this is just my bro. It just happens to be the president now. Now, do we need all the, here's him walking, that sort of thing. Do you do that for all your friends? That's where it becomes a question of like, well, this is no longer just you shouting out your buddy or talking sports with someone. Like, you are drawing attention because he is the most powerful person.
Even if it's your bro, it's still the president.
Yeah.
That's making it political. You're also bringing in like his cabinet members as well. You're bringing in political pundits that talk on the air about it, the Tucker Carlsons of the world. Like, you're going to do a fight at the White House because of your relationship with the president of the United States. Like, you obviously have political ties. I don't think anyone can believe the statement that he's saying.
So you watch GC, you watch NASCAR, you watch tennis, you watch golf. When I say that the UFC is probably the most political organization, agree or disagree? Like, do you see any other sports league, sports organization?
Trump attends events. Like, he was at the Commanders game this past weekend. He's been at NASCAR
US
races,
Open.
things like this. Yeah, U.S. Open. He was at college football games, everything like that. He doesn't get as welcomed of a celebration over and over and over as he does at UFC events. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, was it last year's MSG when they did like the promo package for him after he won the election?
Yeah.
It was like a 3-minute video.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
and again,
to say there's no political ties is crazy.
And even like when he gets shown on the broadcast, and again, this is not a commentary on Trump. We're talking about whether or not they are political, and he is political. That is one thing when you're the president, when you're the actual sitting president. But when you are campaigning, right? When you're trying to garner votes and you're getting this type of introduction, this type of reaction, that is very political. That's not just, hey, we're just trying to show a buddy a good time. That is you endorsing someone. That is you saying, this is our guy. And if you're a UFC fan, this is the guy that you should be voting for. And that's that. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.